Welcome. I'm going to show you how to use linear or outline notes. The two terms are used interchangeably, and the idea of the notes is to help organise your thoughts and your readings and whatever you've listened to in your lectures. It's quite a simple approach using headings of core points, and obviously you can expand on those as we go. So what I've done here is I've identified all the key points that have been explored in this note-taking course. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, first of all, the bullet point system to try and organise these a little bit more. And we're going to use indentations to group bits of information together. So I'm going to highlight all of this. Now you can see what we've gone through ever such a lot. And then I'm going to go to the bullet points and we'll see that first of all. So the first main point that was in the course was the introduction, so I'm happy to keep that there. And then we had why and how to keep notes. And within that, there were some topics explored within that area. So I'm going to use my tab button, and that's going to move that, indent that across by 1. And I'm quite happy with the information that's been put here. The next section was why make notes, and we had a section on notes in a lecture, and later on there was one notes in online lectures, and there was also one on tutorials or supervision meetings. Now within those there was some additional sections, so we're going to tab across even more. So the notes in a lecture, the points below that, I'm going to tab across twice. Here we go. And these were, so we're grouping all the information. When we got formal note-taking techniques, there were even more. So I'm going to group that further along, as you can see. So now I'm really collecting all the information and grouping it together so I can visually see what we had covered. And then we've got simple hints and tips that went there. And then those simple hints and tips, we'll group them under there. So you can see this is looking really quite good and easy on the eye. So then we move to notes in online lectures, and then we have some tips here. So all I'm doing is using the tab button across. That had an action plan template. So I might even colour code that, because that was something that I could download if I wanted to. So obviously with all the techniques that you've been learning, you can colour code, you can use highlighter pens, you can put symbols, whatever you really want to use that makes it attractive to you and understandable to you. So we had digital notes, and we looked at apps and software, and within that we looked at Word, OneNote, Google Docs. There are lots of different ones. Let's just move those across. I've got one for others, which meant there was a link there that we could use. We looked at annotating documents, and again we broke that down even further. Let's move those across. And then that was, we used using OneNote to help, and then that was broken down even further. And accessibility, we used digital options for accessibility, and we broke that down even further. So what you might find is when you're looking at a PowerPoint is that you use the headings from the PowerPoint to help you here. We've got summing up and reflection, which is the main one. Here we've got action planning, and then within that had an action plan, so I'm going to highlight that there as well. I'm going to put at the top, let's put a title in there, so let's just move that up, and we would put a date, today's date, and I'm I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to use the title system. So we could go across here, find the title, and I can use this system up here for headings. If I wanted to put headings, I can use those if I wanted to. If I didn't want to use the the bullet point system, I can use the numbered system, and that would work just as well. There's a multi-level list that could be used as well. That's particularly good if you are creating a contents page, but if you're not, you don't really need to worry about that. And then if I wanted to add more information under each of those points, then obviously I can as well. Personally, I find linear and outline notes probably quite difficult to do in a lecture, but works really well summarising everything that was covered. I might identify these were things I covered, but now I need to find more information out. So I might start to put some action points in. So for example, under core now, I might put action review video again as an example, and I might let's use a highlighter pen just to remind me of how important that is to do. And at the end, I'll probably still use a summary section here where I might want to just summarise. I'll put a heading 1 there for us, just a summary of what the core notes are. And that really is it. So it's a formal kind of linear process with bullet points or numbered system of core points that's been discussed in your lectures or in your reading. Thank you for listening.